Welcome to the Color Up Podcast. Whether you're a seasoned player or a beginner eager to step up to the table, this is your lucky podcast that's all about the thrill and strategy of the casino world. I'm your host, Jeremy. With me is Jim the Professor.
No.
Let's get rolling.
So with me today is Brian from Holy Roller, not Jim the Professor, because, and I'm too lazy to change the intro music, Brian, so you'll have to excuse me. Give me a little slack here.
Well, I can't be as good as Jim though, so give me some
Well,
slack.
it looks like Jim's already in the comments, so which is funny enough. So you're the cruise guy who taught me all about free cruise and stuff, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But Jim, my co-host, is actually on a cruise, and now we're not. How does that work? Yeah, exactly. So I don't really have a topic for today. So I'm going to open up the phone line early. We're going to take as many questions as we can. But since we have I'm going to go ahead and call you a cruise expert.
Okay. Well,
because you have so many. So yeah, if you want to ask questions about craps on a cruise, this is the show to do it. So make sure Brian, you said you could see the comments. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And are you able to bring them up, or can you click on them to show on the screen, or no?
Well, if I click one?
Yeah, see if it shows up on the screen.
Yeah, no.
No? Okay. Well, I might, if I see any questions, I'll bring them up. And then there's the phone line. Let's see. I guess I should turn that on just in case. Let's see. Bluetooth. See how prepared I am for this? Where's Brian's glasses? That's an excellent first question.
My glasses. Here they are. I got some new ones, and I'm still adjusting to them. Outside, I mean, I feel like I have an eagle eye. I could see far away, but I don't know. I could see better like this. So sometimes I've been doing it without my glasses.
Here's a question. We'll get off some real quick questions real quick. Are there any young people on those cruises, Brian?
Yes.
Or is it just old people?
I'm on Royal Caribbean most of the time, and I know there's a stereotype sometimes on different cruise lines that there are a bunch of old people. And,
yeah, right.
And so I don't know. I just turned 50, so maybe I'm turning into one of those old people.
You're on that side of it for sure, but I think when we picture cruises, we're like, 70 plus, yeah, I don't know.
I did go on a Princess once. It was off season. Well, what I mean, school was in session, so maybe that's why I didn't see any kids. However, Amber and I were the youngest people. I felt like we were the youngest people on the cruise. So at 50, we were at the bottom end of the. But I don't know.
Usually we start off the show and have questions. We talk about some events or different things. But with you here, why don't we go ahead? There's been some kind of major, at least on Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, there's been some major changes on the tables. Why don't you fill us in a little bit on that?
Yeah, so starting the first cruise coming out in April, which my cruise left on March 30th. So I had an 11-night cruise that was the same. But then around April 1st, I started getting all these comments from everybody saying, hey, everything's changed. Everything's changed. I'm like, what has changed? So I talk with the crew, and they go, oh, yeah, the next cruise, any cruise that starts in April. So I still had 11 days to go, or 9 more days that I could play the regular way. They're changing the minimum in the field to a $10 minimum or table minimum in the field. So there are $5 tables sometimes if you're overseas, and so that would be $5 in the field, but it'd be a $5 minimum on the table. But they're making the field bet equal to the minimum, which is like most casinos.
Right. My last cruise, they kind of went halfway. So it was a $10 table, but they're like, the field bet is now $5. I'm like, wait, it was $1 for the last year. And they're like, well, it's $5 now. I'm like, okay, well, it's still a decent deal, but now it's going all the way up to table limit. What else did they officially announce?
Yeah, well, the thing is, officially, I haven't seen anything officially announced.
Okay.
But it is confirmed. Because with the Holy Roller Cruising Club, I have the little Facebook group, and people are on cruises all the time, and they're giving updates and stuff, and I give updates when I'm on a cruise. and they were saying, yep, here it is. This is what they said. Everybody started asking around. And so it's fleet wide, multiple ships. And then I asked on the ship I was, and it was $10 minimum in the field. And then all prop bets like hardways, the horn bet, the hopping bets, anything in the center is a $2 minimum, $2 minimum. So $8 will be the lowest horn bet that you can do is $8, not $4.
Yeah, $2 minimum. That's kind of weird. So last weekend, Ron Bacon says last weekend on Utopia they had the bet changes, but sometimes they were allowing the $1 hardway still. Like,
yeah, that's
what, do they just make it up as they go along, or what?
Yeah, kinda, yeah. But they're supposed to be $2 hardways, and they probably just didn't catch it.
It's just like anything else. Like each of the supervisors know different information, and so they apply the comps, or they know different information, so they're not applying it evenly or whatever.
Yeah. And then there was a third one, and I forget what it was. Because there was three major things, and I put it on I probably could look it up really quick.
Yeah. While you're looking up, I'll ask you, are you familiar? Someone texted through our phone line 6787, and then the horn numbers 231112. I could take your calls right now. But someone asked, are you familiar with Holland America? Anything different with gambling on them?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Holland. Although I will say, Royal Caribbean and Celebrity are their sister companies. And so you're going to find a lot of the same things with Royal Caribbean and Celebrity. And then I think Princess and Carnival are sister companies. And Holland America is out there kind of on their own as far as like they're Holland America, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of the other cruise lines, it's a mystery. It's a mystery. How do I get a free cruise? And they just don't tell you, and they just say, just play as much as you can. I like Royal Caribbean and Celebrity mainly because they print it out and they say, get this many points and you win this. And this is how you get the points. Like they'll even tell you. So a lot of people on Royal know that. I'm getting ready in August. I'll be on my first Celebrity. So I'll be able to expand that way. A lot of people have been saying, Brian, you got to get on Princess or you got to get on Carnival. But from what I understand is they tell you how to get the points. They just don't tell you what you need for the points to get the offer. So that's kind of, I don't know. And I'm assuming it's the same with Holland.
Justice Jen says, try Carnival. It's much more generous with free play offers, free drinks everywhere on ship, and special benefits for elites.
Yeah, she's one of the ones that have been telling me. And Ryan from Mark the Point, got to get over to Carnival with me, Brian. You ready for the third thing? I know what it is now, and it's huge.
Okay, so we got the field is now same table limit. Hot bets are raised to $2. And number 3,
the odds are 3, 4, 5 times on all the numbers, which is great. But most of my videos were like, okay, if you're going to play on a cruise, here's how the odds work, because the odds were so different. And now it's just like 3, 4, 5 times odds.
So they were essentially 1 times odds until you got to $25. Then you could do double odds.
Yeah.
And then once you got to $50, you could do 3, 4, 5, right?
Yeah. $50 to get 3, 4, 5. Now you could get $10 and get 3, 4, 5 times odds. So
which is nice if you're, if you'd like to add bets and odds. But again, as a primarily a comp player, they don't rate you on the odds, so that doesn't really help.
Yeah, probably
in the process of winning free cruises, right?
Odds, yeah. I don't think I won't play odds even with 3, 4, 5 times. What was that last question you asked me?
Let's see. Someone just said, what are the table minimums for craps on most cruise ships?
$10. I would say $10. There are a few that are $15, like cruise lines. But as far as all Royal Caribbean will have $10 tables, unless it's like in Australia or somewhere in Europe where they don't really have craps, sometimes they lower it to $5 so that people can learn to play, or they kind of entice people to play with a $5 minimum on, overseas and stuff.
Carnival app shows you every point you earn updated to the second.
Yeah,
which is nice, but they don't tell you what every point earns, right? That's the problem.
As far as I understand, there's no list of saying, get 20,000 points and you will have this, this stateroom. You'll have a balcony, right, or you'll have this, but they do give you good offers. Like when you get an offer, as far as I know for Princess, and I think for Carnival, like when you get an offer, you could use it 3 times, which is kind of interesting. As far as I've heard, and that's why it's kind of enticing, because with Royal you get an instant cruise offer. There's lots of dates to choose from, but you get to choose one, and then that offer's done. And then when they send you an offer, a lot of dates, you choose it, and that offer's done. But I guess with from what I hear, Carnival and Princess, you get an offer and it's good for 3 times. So
this is kind of a funny comment. Nice, but it's Carnival. And I've I haven't experienced any other ship, but I have heard this, right? So I've heard, you want a really nice cruise ship, you go on Virgin, you go on, Disney. Disney doesn't have casinos. The middle of the pack is like Royal Caribbean or Norwegian or whatever. And you want the budget, Spirit Air of cruise lines, you go on Carnival. Now I know they have tiers, right? They have their big nice ships and whatever, but that's kind of what I've heard. They're it's just a different crowd, different atmosphere, different everything. They're just
it's hard line, because there are some stereotypes, like we were talking at the beginning with old people. Like there's old people everywhere, like, and where's all the young people? Probably on Carnival, or probably on another line, that's known for that. But it's hard because you don't want to offend anybody. But when you get there, like on the Utopia is a total different experience than any other Carnival. Carnival. But I think this is what I think. And Ron's been on all of them. I don't know, but Utopia is like a different experience, and I think they're trying to create it's almost like a party ship, party cruise kind of atmosphere. And when I went on Utopia, I knew it was Royal Caribbean. It was the newer ship of Royal Caribbean, but it was a different experience, and it made me think, okay, maybe this is what other cruise lines are, the party cruises or whatever. But they definitely did something different as far as the atmosphere and the party vibe on Utopia than they did on any other Royal Caribbean ship.
OE22 says, love Royal, but no shade on Carnival either. Love the experience there too. So he's been on both. I'm getting a lot of text. People call in. I can't read these texts. I got text going in here. Carnival's known as the booze cruise. Okay. Is there a cruise line that works both Atlantic and Pacific? Well, Royal does. I'm about to go to California. But doing out of Florida a lot.
Yeah, I think Carnival, Royal, Princess. Yeah, those 3 I know do. And Princess, I've been on one Princess. I just went to Alaska. That was the one where we were the youngest people on the cruise. It was before the shutdown, so it was in I think it was in 2019. And the thing that I really loved about Princess when looking is their itineraries. They go places that almost, I haven't seen, maybe Carnival does too, but the itineraries at Princess are amazing. They have long cruises, and they go, I even seen one that went to Fiji, on a Princess. Nice. I'm like, wow, that's far.
All right, we got a caller on the air with us, Brian. Hello, you're on the air with Brian and Jeremy. What's your Question or comment,
Hi,
please.
Brian, Johnny. It's Doug
How you doing, Doug? What do you got for us?
from Las Vegas. Holland America is owned by Carnival. And
Oh, okay.
I'm going on a Holland America cruise to Alaska in May. And they do both Atlantic and Caribbean and Pacific cruises.
Oh, awesome. Now you're going to have to tell us when you learn about it, tell us how do you get a free cruise on Holland?
I will. I'll do my best.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Oops, I cut him off there. Someone said, please thank, he didn't leave his name, but he just texted me, please thank Brian for me. I have taken my wife on 4 free cruises and we have 4 booked. Light in the darkness helped me get there.
Yeah,
so
see, I mean, people's experience with light in the darkness is just that. It's either light or dark. Some people it works great, and some people they just say this does not work. I hate it, you know.
I saw something. Jen said try Carnival Jubilee. It's so nice, and I'll take Carnival food over Royal Caribbean any day. It's super old thinking, like there's only old people on ships. Yeah, I'm just every time when I pull up to a port, like I like the Royal Caribbeans. I like the speed of it. I like to relax on my cruise. And then next door, there is a Carnival ship, and even in port, the music is like boom, boom, you know, and everyone's like going crazy on the ship deck, and like on our ship, everyone's like, oh, you know, lounging out. They got some Caribbean music going, and you know, the pan do 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 do. But it's just they're different. They're just different, I guess. But now, what do you know about as far as I think you're involved somehow with like your comp or something. As far as like when did you start getting cruise line offers and then being able to essentially like tier match and get on other cruise lines? I mean, outside of the family of ships.
Yeah. So I reached out to UrCompt and I said, hey, do you have any kind of affiliate thing? I want to get on a celebrity ship. But I know that other people might as well. So if I'm going to have this experience, I want to have it not only for me, but for my members and my followers. And
Right.
And they said, oh, we can set you up with a link. So they did. It's urcompt.com.
Hold on just a second, Jen.
Oh,
we'll get right with you.
It's urcompt.com/holy roller without the ER at the end, just like I spell it. And they sign you up, and I don't know if you get anything extra for signing up for my link. And I don't think I get anything except for, you know, just kind of like I don't know. It's an affiliate. I haven't got anything from it, but the main thing I wanted to do is gather a bunch of people together on my link that sign up with my link so that I can say to them, hey, I have this many people. Can you give us all a free cruise on this line or this whatever? So that's my end goal on that. However, when I went there, they were able to, I uploaded my offer from Royal. Mm-hmm. And then they were able to give me an offer for celebrity. So that's how I'm going to be on a celebrity one. I'm only paying.
But celebrity's part of the same family though, right?
Yeah, but I could have done MSC as well. Okay. So they have MSC, Royal Caribbean, and Carnival. Sorry, not Carnival. I think just celebrity. I've only seen those 3. I could be wrong. But
yeah, I thought I've seen in your group that people have posted that they've went from like, they've been on Virgin and they went to UrCompt gave them a Royal Caribbean and vice versa and different things. So that's the only kind of program. I don't know much about them, but I have supposedly that's their thing is they try to match offers through other companies.
Yeah. And I think it has to do with you not being like that. You've never been on that cruise line before. Like,
right. You would be a brand new customer. Right.
Yeah. I don't think they would give me a free cruise on Royal Caribbean, although I would need it anyway.
All right, Jen, you are on the air. Please tell us why we should go to all these other cruise lines.
Well, I don't want to sound like I don't like Royal because I'm a lead on Royal. I love Royal. It's just I've been on all the others,
Uh-huh.
and honestly, their comp cruisers are superior. Royal literally has the worst food of all the lines we're talking about. Celebrity, Princess, and Carnival all have better food than Royal.
Mhm.
So that's one. Two,
Well, that's a big
Royal,
one
you
because
only
we
get
eat
free
multiple.
play.
That's a big one because we eat multiple
Yeah.
times a day,
Oh,
right?
It's not even close. It's like Costco pizza versus, Del Ferrari or something in New York. It's not
Wow.
close. And the other thing is, I know that Brian really, really cares about getting the instant certificate because it comes with like a large free play amount if you earn certain amount of points. Carnival always gives you free play. The current one I'm signing up for is 1,000 free play. I get a suite. They're going to pick me up from the port and drive me to the cruise ship, and then they're going to pick me up from the cruise ship and drive me to the airport afterward. I get a free shore excursion. I mean, I get all kinds of
Whoa!
stuff.
Hold on a
And
second,
I
Chen.
play at the same level.
Right, that's what I was going to
Yeah.
say. Is like, to be fair, you play at a pretty big level, and you must put in
No, but
hours.
same level as Brian.
But you
Brian gets more comp points than I do.
Okay, I see. So, but equivalent play on the different brands of ships. So even though you don't know what you're going to get, they treat you very well, is what you're saying, with the same level of play.
Yeah.
Across
So let's see. The last Carnival I did was Jubilee, which is one of their newest ships. Amazing ship, super clean, super beautiful, very bright. I got 20,000 points, which I would say is probably equivalent to 4,000 or 5,000 Royal points. But for the 20,000 points, I basically got like 18 billion free cruise offers with free play and like extra stuff. So I get drinks everywhere, not just in the casino, for two. So that's super valuable.
Mhm.
I got free Wi-Fi, all the pickup and parking. So they really treat you great on Carnival. And the old ships, maybe they were party ships, but the new ships are just as sophisticated, right? They're giant mega ships. I think they're less party than like Wonder of the Seas and Utopia, honestly, or Icon. Those are like super party ships.
Well, I think the partying
So
revolves around like the price point and the crowd you're bringing in. So, if Carnival has upper end ships, it's going to bring different crowd, right? I mean, still fun atmosphere or whatever, but just not people who can.
Well, and I think it's the length of the cruise. If it's a 3 or 4 night, it's probably more
Mhm.
party drink.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people just call it a booze cruise, but it's really the same thing. It's like if you're going to do a short weekender, you can drink till like midnight or later, right? But Carnival is something you will want to experience, especially if you want the free play, because the free play you can turn into actual cash.
Now,
Also,
Jen,
all their. Go ahead.
sorry, Jen, on those free play, because that's one thing I asked if Royal was changing, and they're not, by the way. That Royal, the free play, you could use it the same as we always have, but on the free play, can you use it on any bet or only even money bets?
I don't remember it being restricted, so I don't think it's an issue. But
I
I mean,
think,
they're changing all the time.
yeah, I think I just heard that, and I thought Royal was doing it too, but I know Princess and I think Carnival made the free play where you can only
Yes.
use it on even money bets.
I know for sure Princess did, but I don't know about Carnival. I'm gonna
Oh,
know
okay.
soon. I'm going very, very soon. I know
Oh,
Princess
yeah,
for
let us
sure.
know.
You used to be able to, yeah. So Carnival, the Princess just caught on to people who were like really abusing it. They would take, so for example, $500 free play, and they would bet every single number on the roulette.
Yeah,
So what you're going to lose out on a little bit, but mostly you're converting that into like 95% cash. So
yeah, and
they
that's
wanted
the
to stop
main
people from doing that.
that's the main thing that happened with Light in the Darkness and why they started doing contra bets is because people went over to the roulette table, even with real money, and they were betting all the numbers and then demanding that many points per shooter or per roll. And that's when they kind of cracked down on these both side bets.
Mm.
So, Jen, if you had to rank the cruise lines you've been on, considering food, the crap play? Like, how would you rank them for me?
I would say that Royal still has the best gaming, that's for sure. But unfortunately, most people who go aren't going to be degenerates like us or holy Brian. We're not there solely for the gaming. Princess is like, the gaming is kind of weak. The food is great.
What do you mean by weak
the
gaming?
comps are a mystery, but it's like weak. Like, you'll have, basically 3 players maybe, and they're just learning how to play. I'm talking
Okay.
at the craps table. The casino is kind of dead, right? It's not a big focus. It's very smoky. There's always 000 roulette. I don't know what it is about Princess, but they only provide 000 roulette. The worst. So I would say Princess, not good. Holland is the worst. Of all the gaming things, Holland is the worst. You will have one player in the casino the whole trip, and it'll be you. So if you don't want to be the solo player begging them to open the table, do not do Holland America. And anyone who wants to differ, show me pictures, because it's a desert. It's terrible. The worst gaming, period.
Now,
The
Jen,
second worst gaming is
maybe if more people would jump on board and tell you, hey, if you play this level, you'll earn a cruise, and maybe these other lines will step in line.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I wanted to ask Jen if she knew how to get a free cruise on Holland America.
Look, any player that would be desperate for you to play, any player will just get free cruises.
So if we all go,
generous cruise offer, but yeah, you can only go with friends. Ask Rich T. He goes on Holland all the time because they do like Singapore, Japan. So that's really cool. They do very, very cool itineraries, 15 days over to like the Pacific Rim. So for that, it's worth it. But bring a friend. Oh, geez, it's awful. I mean, you're begging them to open a table. I'm not kidding. It's like all sea day, the whole day, and they're open like 3 hours, and it's just blackjack. And I'm like, can you at least open the roulette table? Like, they have
So
no
not a
dealers,
sponsor.
They don't care about
Not
food.
a sponsor. and I'm not a sponsor with Royal either. Just so you know, just so everybody knows, I'm not a sponsor with Royal either.
Yeah.
I want to get over there to the other one.
No, you're an ambassador. Yeah, no, Royal's. I feel like Royal is the most. It was the most open about its point system, but unfortunately, I really think that it's fallen behind in the other things. Like, food quality is lower. The service is great always, right? But you'll get a more different variety of food too, like at the other lines. Celebrity is amazing. You'll love Celebrity. The food is outstanding, like head and shoulders above. And to me, like for your spouses, that's what they care about, right? But it's not that fun for kids. Celebrity is like, it's kind of it's like just elegant, right? It's not like there's no rock climbing wall. There's no like easy flow rider. There's an arcade, but it's not fun like that.
Perfect.
Let me tell you,
perfect.
Let me tell you, this is the conversation that I have with Jen every time she wants me to go.
I'm gonna go ahead and let you go, Jim, but I really appreciate your
Okay.
perspective on
All
the
right,
lines for sure. I will
Yeah, Jen.
definitely have to check out Celebrity. Bye-bye. Yeah, I mean that's why the different cruise lines exist and why they actually have different like tiers and boats, right? There's a fit for everybody. I guess that's the whole point of it. Not to make, it's too late. This is already just a cruise show, but we can talk about, unless we get some specific craps or any specific question, but let's see. Hey, Jeremy and Brian. Will from Fresno. Had the pleasure of meeting Jeremy back in January on Brilliance. Great to see you both live with all the tips and tricks. So I guess without any further questions, maybe you can talk a little bit. I know Jen gives you a little bit of a hard time about not playing to win versus playing for comps.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you
I don't
certainly
think
talk
it's
about
Jen.
you don't want to prepay for a cruise, is what you always say, but you do play a hedging strategy, and just kind of tell, you have the floor here. So tell us why more the hedging, and you get the rap of not trying to win as opposed to comp first.
Yeah. I mean, I think that one of the main things is Vegas and land-based casinos have gotten so stingy with comps. It's almost not worth playing for comps at a land-based casino. And so I agree with people that say that, and I always say you have to spend thousands of dollars to get, hundreds of dollars worth of comps, lose or spend $1,000 to get a buffet, but now with cruising, I think it's the reverse. I think you spend hundreds and you can get thousands of dollars worth of comps. But I do agree with a lot of people, because there is this premise out there that people say, never play for comps, just win the money and pay it, pay it for free, But the first time I did it, I had $300 and I won a free cruise, and so did my wife. So we left with, I had 300, she had 300. That's $600, and she had a cruise and I had a cruise. And I'm like, wow, and
Right.
so I play.
Normal $300 budget is not going to get you anything.
Yeah.
It's not going to buy you a cruise. You're not
Right.
going to be able to win enough to purchase a $2,000 cruise. And if you're land-based, you'll be lucky to get a free night stay. I mean, you're not getting anything if you're playing $300. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And so, and some on some of these other cruise lines, like Carnival or Princess, the first thing they say is you have to buy in for at least $2,500 or more just to get noticed, and you take that to the land base, and $2,500 isn't getting you noticed. You need $5,000, $10,000 to get noticed at a land base, So yes, I play for comps first and then money second, So most people that play in the casino, in my experience, most people that play in the casino know that the casino is a place you're going to lose money. So what they do is they hope, like all of us, they hope to win money. But what they do is they convert, okay, how much is each point going to cost me? Like for slots, for example, it's $5 is 1 point with Royal Caribbean. So they say, okay, well, with the buyback, and the payback, and, because $5 1 point, if you got 1,500 points, you have to put $7,500 through the machine. And most people are like, $7,500, that's more than the cruise costs. Why would I do that? Well, because we're hoping to get a payback or get a jackpot or something like this. And it turns out with the payback, on average, as I've been doing this for 3 years, and on average, everybody that's played slots is about getting $1 per point. So if they want 2,500 points, they're spending $2,500. But 2,500 points is over $12,000 through the machine. But if they can do it for 2,500, that's awesome, right? And so when I got and started doing this with craps, I'm like, what's the difference between craps and all the other games in the casino? The difference is that craps, you put your money up there and it can stay there for a while. You don't have to bet after every roll or after every spin of the roulette wheel or after every button or after every hand at blackjack. You don't have to re-bet to keep your average at $50. If you wanted a $50 average at blackjack, you have to bet $50 per hand. If you want a $50 average at craps, you could put $50 for every shooter, and every shooter doesn't go so quick like a blackjack can. Now they can. There could be some that do, but sometimes they could stay for a long time.
The average roll is 8.5 mathematically. So yeah, it's not one roll and you're sometimes it is one roll and you're done, and we hate that, but sometimes it's 8 rolls on average, right? So sometimes it's 3 to 5, and then obviously we're hoping for 15, 20, 30 rolls,
Yeah, so like let me give you an example on roulette. They take I forget what they call that thing that they put on the number.
Mm-hmm.
They put it on the number 22, whatever. And then they put it back over, and there's these lights that light up, and then they spin it and then they move it and put it in a number. So every time those lights light up, they're counting how many spins you've been there for roulette. Well, it's the same thing at craps. They have this little coin, and the stick person moves the coin and moves it back, moves the coin, moves it back after every roll. And what they're doing is they're counting every roll. So I could bet $50, and if 2 rolls happen, it's almost like I bet $50 per roll. so my average is $50, you know, like, so it keeps going. But roulette, because it's a higher, you know, higher casino, house edge or whatever, you get more points at roulette, but you do have to bet over and over after every spin. So I like craps, and, you know, mainly because I love the game, and I learned a lot of it from watching you, just like a lot of us, Jeremy. So thanks for pioneering the way for the rest of us on these, all the other YouTube channels that are doing craps now. But I remember calling you and talking to you about, and I've been part of the Color Up Club for so long, probably I think right after you started it. I'm not like the first member, but for $5 a month, I actually did $25 a month, because I learned so much, and getting the you know, the dice cord and all that. It's like, man, craps is such an awesome game. And then when I started playing it, I realized, wait a minute, craps seems to be the easiest way to get the free cruise, because I've tried other things. I tried roulette, I tried doing some slot machines, and I tried blackjack. I've done all the games, but I just stay at craps because it's like not only fun, but I think it's the best probability for winning free cruises, because of that reason that the bets stay there.
Speaking of other YouTubers, Dice Grinder says the drawback of craps on cruise ships is the max bet is so low. I reach it all the time, starting from minimum. I don't have that problem because I'm not a huge presser. You might have that problem. So can you address that a little bit? Like what you've seen as far as the max limits?
Yeah. So on Royal Caribbean, the max is $500, and $600 on the 6 and 8. On this last cruise, I did max out on the 6 and 8. I had 6 and 8 maxed out at $600 each. And yeah, you get there on a good roll. You could get there if you're aggressive with the pressing. So Dice Grinders is probably, you know, power presser.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, let's go ahead and talk about power pressing a little bit, because I've run simulations, and, you know, the math is the math, and says essentially over time, you know, same bet is going to work out just as good or not. But give me a little bit on your like theory of playing craps for cruises. I know you do a little bit hedging, but then you also are a very aggressive player. So kind of tell me a little bit of your philosophy and how that works out for you, because I know you're constantly, you're like, oh yeah, I took a bankroll of 500. It's almost always under 1,000 for sure. And then you're like, I got 8,000 points. I got 5,000 points. I got 6,000 points. And I'm like, how do you do that? I'm lucky to get 1,500, 2,000 to get the minimum cruise certificate. So talk to us a little bit about your philosophy there.
Yeah. The short answer is yes, I have a small bankroll, but once I recoup my bankroll, I press to the moon. So I had, on that one roll, I had over $2,000 on the table. And so I'm getting rated at $2,000 because I had it out on the table. And some people I think are really like, they'd rather have money in their rack than on the table. But for me, I rather have money on the table than in the rack. As long as I have my original money in the rack, I'm fine. Now, you know, I saw Jen said a comment, or they were talking about it, and she said Brian does it in reverse. He does points, then he worries about money, you know. And I do. I play for points first, and then on the last night, I usually clean up and just play for money because I made my point goal. And I do press and collect and then regress and all of that. But I think the main thing is, no matter if you're playing for money or points, is get your money back as fast as possible with as few rolls as possible. And once you get your money back, then you attack the table, because most of us realize that we caught a long roll after it's over.
Yeah, right.
And we didn't bet it. We didn't press. We didn't collect. We didn't, you know, press and collect along the way. Or we just stayed same bet, you know? So
yeah, I could tell you, we pretty much align with our philosophy of playing, which is get your initial money back as soon as possible. You know, a couple rolls, 2-3 rolls, or whatever it is. Strategies like that we like, because most rolls don't last that long. But you've just gotten comfortable after you've got your money back, nothing to risk, you go for it. Whereas me, I'm still a little timid. I'm still not comfortable. And I do almost every time I look back and go, that was 30 rolls and I won $200, right? Nice $200. But I mean, I'm kicking myself because I should, you know, we're not playing the long-term math where same bet or, you know, minimum presses would work out for you in the long run. You know, but you know, you got 5 nights on the ship, you get that one roll, you know, you're making 5-10 grand.
Yeah. And you know, there is a big thing about the rolls that happen when the puck is off. I mean, that is a huge, if you take a whole session, how many rolls happened where you didn't get paid because your bets were off?
Okay, wait a second. Let me clear. So this topic of controversy or whatever is, there's people who say you're wasting a roll if the puck is off and you don't have your bets working. And then there's the other crowd, that would be me, who says, if you're going to have a long roll, there's going to be a 7 and it's going to happen when the puck is off. So I don't play my bets when the puck is off. So those are kind of the two sides. Where do you stand and what are your thoughts on this topic?
Well, if you're playing the dark side or the don't pass line, you are playing when the puck is off. You know, you are, you know, that roll counts. Most people, that roll doesn't count. And so then the big question is, what about the 7 and 11, right? If it's going to come, it'll come there, right? Or we want it to, right? I pretty much came to a point where, I was losing a lot. But if you did the math, or if you even tracked it, because I tracked it. One time I tracked it, and believe it or not, I couldn't believe it. But because I tracked it, I believed it because I saw it, because I wrote it in my dice tracker. I tallied how many 7s and 11s on the come out and how many 2-3s on the come out, and it was the same. Now, I know that's an anomaly. Now, not supposed to work out that way, but it did that session. And I think that's what happens a lot of times is people's bets are off. There's many times where I am playing light side, where I'll do like a skill 66, where I do $66 inside working on the come out, because all you need was 2 hits. And if I get a 5, 6, 8, or 9 on the come out, then all I need is one more hit. But most of the time, people will wait for that come out roll, then put their money out, and then need another 2 rolls.
Well, and sometimes you'll have, it takes 3 or 4 rolls for the point to be established. You're on roll 5 before your bets even get turned on. So John's out here watching. Shout out to John of Pro Craps. He says, if that worries you, add a hop game on the come out. And you actually do utilize hops. I know some videos, I don't know if this is club member stuff, because I've seen a lot of videos where you don't mention the hops, but I do know you utilize the hops. So
yeah,
can you tell us a little bit about that, or is that?
I do talk about it in public, but I talk more about it in my private member only videos. Yeah. We call it member only secrets, but mainly because it's not that popular. I mean, even you with the math of the game, these are the worst bets over there to hop, with the house edge. But for example, if I put 150 on the don't pass and then I hop the 7 and 11 for 10 each, I might lose a little bit if on the hop. I'm definitely going to lose $40, if I hop it and it's not a 7 or 11. Well, how many people put $40 or 44 inside and they're risking that on every roll? I know that I'm going to probably lose $40 on the first roll, but then I have another $110 that, so for example, 150 minus 40 that I hopped, the difference is 110 that I could put inside after a point is established. All I need, if I get one hit on the inside, that's $35. That's 35 of my $40 back that I needed, so if
one hit pays you your hops back, or if the 7 rolls, you break even because you've only got 110 on the board. You lose 110 plus the 40 hop, you're fine.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the way that we can play it. You can also play it where you put your whole 150 out and just count that 40. You still need to get one hit for that 40 back. if the 7 comes, you're kind of out of it. But if the point comes, you're out of it too. So the point and the 7 are the two things you don't want to see a lot of times. So because people misunderstand the don't pass a lot, especially the way I play it, because they see me on the don't pass and they think I want a 7, but I don't want a 7. I want a long roll just like everybody else.
Yeah. Wary Buyer said, does Royal allow hop bets?
Yeah. I think a plus, you could think of it as a plus or a minus, but the plus is, yes, they allow hop bets.
I have been on a casino table where they haven't, so it's not all ships. My last ship did not have hops.
Okay, they'll probably update. They probably just didn't have it because they have to update the mat. So if the mat doesn't have it printed, they don't have hop bets. But most tables have it printed up at the top. And because it's printed at the top, a lot of people just think it's a bonus. So that's the pro and con. They don't have bonus bets. So there is no all tall small or fire bets or anything like that on Royal Caribbean. And I've been on a lot of ships, so they just don't have those. It's funny because sometimes people think it is. And one time somebody walked up, I know this is a short story, but somebody walked up, they didn't even look at it saying hop bets. They just said, give me 5-5-5 because they thought it was all tall, small. So they're like 5-5-5. And they're like, what do you mean 5-5-5? They go 5-5-5. And they threw in $15. And the person's looking at him like, 5?
2 5s to hop.
Yeah, right? There's only 2 5s, and they put them both on the 5s, and they go, "What about this one?" And they go 5-5-5, and they go what? They go for the all tall small, and they go, "No, this is hopping." And they go, "Okay, give it back," and they gave it back, and I go, "Hop the 5," and the 5 rolled. Those are the crazy things that happen. Because there was so much emphasis on the 5 that I was like, I'm gonna hop the 5, and it rolled. It was awesome. So those are the kind of things I wish I had on video live, but we just share those experiences with the people at the table with us. But yeah, they allow hop bets, but they don't have.
I'm gonna add this in a little bit. Jen's back. I hear you guys talk about comps first, establish eligibility, but after that, first free cruise, free offers keep flowing, and but even still, if you're not. I mean, you do play in a way that earns comps for sure because you start out hedging, but I think that's a legitimate way to play. And I've been starting to lean more that way where you're hedging for the first couple rolls to get your money back and playing risk free. Like you said, you don't want a 7. You don't want to play hedged. You're just using it temporarily to build up your place bets and have a big win. So I'd say even if there wasn't comps, you're probably Light in the Darkness is still a very legitimate style of play.
Yeah, it does protect against the short rolls. And how many short rolls have we had? The main reason why I came up with it was because I was going on all these cruises and I just was losing money and prepaying for a cruise. I was losing the amount of, I always say, don't bring more
approximately $2,000, right? You're losing $2,000.
Yeah.
But you're getting a free cruise.
Bringing more because 300 was hard. And then I brought 500. That was a little hard. Now, because of Light in the Darkness and getting out of the hand in as few hits as possible, now I can go with 500 and be confident that I can earn a free cruise. And I'm earning cruises at a high level. But when it comes to, getting the free cruise or having offers come in once you're in the system and stuff, they can stop at any time. That's why I always say get a certificate and don't depend on these mailers or these other offers coming in. There are a lot of people that don't get those offers. They don't know why. They just don't get them. So, and it could be the level of play. The more you buy in with and the longer you play, the higher your theoretical is. The higher your theoretical is, the more offers you get. I'll just say that. I know that might be over some.
This is a huge update and problem right here. No hops on Carnival.
Oh, no hops on Carnival, but you'll have a great meal. I'm just playing.
I guess, but I really only play craps anymore on a cruise ship. So, I mean, that might be a problem for me so I do want to break down. I have mentioned in the past probably that I've played Light in the Darkness and didn't have great experiences. And essentially and this is very specific. So I'm going to maybe release a little bit of your private information.
That's
Hopefully
okay.
you don't kill me here. But there, if you join
People
his club and all that stuff and get
Before
a
you do
secret
that,
videos.
people can go to my channel and become a
Yeah.
member for as little as $2.99 a month.
Yeah.
Or you could become part of the Color Up Club for $5 a month and get all the secrets.
Yeah. So I think you've said this publicly or whatever, but so like I played Light in the Darkness and this is just a very small change, but it makes a huge difference. And this is the kind of the insider information that Brian can hook you up with. But like I was playing $100 don't. You still essentially have to hop it or hedge it with the same amount of money. It essentially costs, whatever, how much to hop that, right? The problem is once you establish a point, you have essentially now you got $60 to work with or $90 to work with up on the place bets. You're kind of stuck to like $10, $15 bets. Now, instead of needing like one hit to recoup all your hot money, you need 3-4 hits. Or, if you do hit a point, you lose $100 with $10 bets up on the place bets. You need 7 hits to recover from that. But just making a small change of going from $100 to like $150, I know it's more, but then really $40 is a full hedge protection, which ProCraps mentioned, a $40 hop. But then you now have $25 and $30 bets out there. So one hit gets you 35 of your 40 back, and then you're golden. Like so little information like that. It seems kind of trivial, but going from 100, and I've yet to play it at 150 level. I think I probably should on the next cruise with you, but just there's little things like the little nuances in the math and the amounts that make a big difference. Cause I hear a lot of people be like, this strategy doesn't work. I get knocked off, the 7-11 too much or whatever, but there's little nuances and different things in the strategy, that make a big difference in this game.
Yeah. Not only with the strategy, but with the game. I think if you're treating every shooter individually as a roll, or every hand individually as a hand, then go for it. I think what happens a lot of times is people, they lose 1 or 2, and then they're in the hand that they can win, but they're thinking about the other 2 that they lost. So they're just same betting, trying to win back the other 2.
Yeah, I'm guilty
of
this.
So they don't really win this one, so just go for the one that you're in now, and you'll make up the amount that you're in. So this last cruise, I was switching back and forth between Light in the Darkness and Skill 66, which is 66 inside, 2 hits, and then down to 44, pretty much. I mean, that's basically it.
Okay.
So every time I was winning $66, I would put it aside in my rack. And then I'd win another 66 and I put it aside in my rack. And I win another 66, put it aside in my rack. And then I just decided, okay, I actually had 11 shots at it. I said, okay. And I turned to Mike. He was playing with me, this guy, Mike. I said, Mike, I got 11 shots at Skill 66. Here I go. And I switched and I just went to Skill 66 for 11 tries. And I never ran out all night. All night, I never ran out of Skill 66 because I was doing 2 hits and then regressing back down to, and I did it a couple different ways, because 66 inside pays $21. I got a 4 and 10 one time. The other time I threw in $1 and pressed it 22 inside pressure, made it 88 inside. The other time I just did same bet twice. And either way, I had between $42 to $49, somewhere right in there. And every time after 2 hits of the inside numbers, I just went down to 44. Then I just attacked it. I would power press, throw in $1, make it 25, throw in 3, make it 30. And that's when it went way up, because I was out of the hand. So I was kind of emotionally disconnected from the money, like that 44. If I lost it, who cares? But when I would press it and we caught the roll, that's when I made all that money, on something like that, and you can every time. But if I was worried about, losing my hop or losing this on 10 shooters ago, I would have never like pressed and been so aggressive on that roll. So, and I think I told you one time, I said, you have to treat every roll like it's the monster roll. Every roll's
right.
not going to be a monster roll, but you treat everyone like it is once you get out of the hand.
Yeah, and that's the big key, and that's where I don't. The play is fine whether you implement a regression or you implement a hedge at the beginning. To me, the more I get more experience at this game after the decades, I'm leaning more towards that. Just the conservative for a couple rolls, but it allows you're now positioned to be aggressive if you want, because otherwise you're always like, you're scared if you start 110 across or whatever it is. You need so many rolls just to get your money back if you're not doing a hedge or a regression. But
Yeah. And I know, we were talking about why, if I play like that, why don't I just play for the money? Why do I play for the points? I mean, regardless, I tracked 1 year. I did $20,000. I spent $20,000 like on plane flights, on craps play, on hotel stays, on, travel to and from with Uber and taxes and port fees. $20,000 I spent on all that stuff. And the comp value of if I paid for all those cruises was over $100,000. So I think it was like $105,000 that it would have cost me. So can I take the same $20,000 and make $100,000 and then pay full price? Yeah, probably. But if I'm doing it this way with smaller amount of money, that's $20,000 over a whole year, not just one cruise,
Well, you started this initially because you were at the bottom, right? I mean, and you were bringing other people, your club membership people, along for the ride and teaching them how to do that. Hey, you could go with $300 and get your free cruise. I mean, you've since gotten to a point where now you're coming in with $1,000 free play on a lot of these things now.
Yeah.
Just because you've worked your way up. But I think people kind of overlook that and they're like, well, this doesn't make sense to just play for a cruise. But you got to remember, he started at this very low level where to win it, he didn't have the money to play and take that chance to win a $2,000 free cruise. He worked his way up for it, and all he's doing is repeating that information and say, hey, this could work for you, because it's worked for him. So I think that's where kind of people get a little misunderstanding. He's not, if you have the bankroll to just play for and can afford a cruise or whatever, just go for the win.
Yeah.
But he's coming from a perspective where he came in from entry level and worked his way up, and you can too. I've done it. I've done it where I was a scared money, brought it $500, and now I went on 6 cruises last year. I got them booked out for this year. And I still haven't increased my bankroll really. I mean, I'm a small player. You guys know Color Up. I'm afraid to play, but $500 is all I need. And most of the time I did a video where I did my last 10 sessions. I only lost $200 in one session. Otherwise it was completely profitable. And, but I'm still earning these free cruises. And so I'm still at the entry level because I'm still afraid to press, but I'm hopefully with, some little convincing I can get better at that. But
we are going to be on a cruise together, and our members know about that.
Yeah.
You and I coming up soon, we're going to be on a cruise together. And so hopefully I can get you pressing.
So if you're a club member of mine or of Brian's, you have the dates. If you don't, ask us, but we're on a cruise together. So you can see it in action, see the real thing.
So hopefully we'll do a couple videos from that. And one of them will be, Color Up finally presses his bets.
Yeah. That would be good.
I remember calling you because I was sharing before I did a lot of the videos that document how much money I use or lose and how many points I get. I remember calling you. I started with that 300 and I worked it up, and then I took it to the next cruise, and I had a bankroll and I worked it up a little bit, took it to the next cruise. And finally I had $4,000 that I was taking on every cruise that I worked up from 300 bucks or whatever. And that $4,000, for a year, I was going and I'd come back with 5,000 or come back with 3,000, then win 4,000, then 6, then it went back down. And I remember calling you and I did a video about it. It's called Lessons Learned.
Yeah, it was a very sad moment.
Because I lost all 4,000 because I was chasing my losses. I had the points that I needed. So I was like, hey, I made my point goal, but I want to make some money. And so I started trying to make money, and I was losing money every night until the last night. I lost all 4,000. So technically I lost my first 300 dollars that turned into 4,000. But really in the long run, because I started with 300, I only lost 300, even though it was 4,000, right? But when you lose, it doesn't feel good. And I remember calling you, I'm like, man, I lost it all. And the thing that I was talking to you about was I can't afford to cruise every month. Like if I lost $4,000 every month, people don't have an extra 4,000 every month, So you have to protect the money. Use money that you're willing to lose. Don't get me wrong. And maybe don't bring more than the cruise cost. Yes, there's that too. But when it comes down to it, you have to decide how many times do you want to cruise, and I'm trying to do it once a month. And so that means I only have a certain amount of money every month to use if I'm going to do this. And so the comps really, really mean a lot to me, because if I lose and don't get a free cruise, I just can't cruise, So, I think a lot of people, they have a certain amount. I know Jim, one thing that he does, he calls it like turning trash into cash. He'll save up all of aluminum cans and all this for all year for DiceCon money and for, that kind of money. So for those of us that have it, it's great, but not everybody has it. So I wanted to be able to do my channel where it can be a smaller amount, or if you have a bigger amount, because people ask me that all the time, if why don't you just bet bigger, and then you don't have to spend so much time at the craps table, and you'll have a free cruise like really quick. And it's like, yeah, if I had a bigger bankroll, I will, and I hope to work up my bankroll again. I have since, I had to put in some more money, but the free play really helps. It gives me a good kick start, a jump start with all, like on my next cruise, I have $1,000 worth of free play. That's going to be a great start.
I think you brought up a great point, and I kind of mentioned before, is your situation dependent, right? So you go monthly cruises, you build content around craps and cruising. It's part of your like side job, right?
Yeah.
For most people, if they have vacation, they're only going on one cruise. I understand maybe this doesn't apply to you, because what's the point of you winning 3 free cruises if you can't take any of them, right? So your situation is very dependent. Or even if some people can earn a lot of cruises, but they just don't have the time off of work or whatever. So this isn't for everybody, right? I mean, this is for people who are able to take a lot of cruises, or whatever. This is just a little hack in the system, right? And some people don't care about this. They just want to have fun or whatever. I mean, so it's very dependent, and this is for a very niche audience. And it just doesn't apply to everyone. So if it doesn't apply to you, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's good to say to some people that I don't know why, I
don't know why it's so controversial.
Yeah.
That's
what
I'm kind of getting at, like
to play for comps versus points versus money or whatever. It's like, but either way, we do have something in common. We love the game and we play the game. And the cool thing about it is there's so many different ways to play. And I rarely make videos that say, if you're playing this way, you're an idiot, So, but I don't know why I get those comments. I'm just playing. We did get a good comment from Q22. I don't know if you saw that one.
What was it?
Just throwing it out there.
Oh yeah. Both channels are awesome. Thanks for the content. Thank you. I don't know if this was from a previous question. Jonathan's asked multiple times. He wants to know why no odds on the don't. And I don't know if he's referring to this conversation or whatever. or not. But essentially, we don't play odds on line bets because they don't rate them. As far as it being on the don't, it doesn't matter, pass line or don't. You get paid the true odds of taking it. I know some people say don't take odds on the don't, but it's the same either way. You're betting on the favorite or the underdog, and you get paid accordingly. So if you have the budget, add odds if that's what you want to do. I'm not sure the specific question there, but
yeah, I think you ran a video one time where the person that played odds and the person that didn't play odds, after the long roll, they ended up about the same anyway.
Well, math says long term there is zero difference between no odds and 100 times odds. It just depends if you hit the points or not the points. And it's the same thing for the don'ts, whether you play them on the pass line or don't. I know people say, well, you're diluting your don't because you get paid 1-to-1. If you add odds, you get paid less than 1-to-1. Those are two different bets. You got your line bet and then you have your odds, and your odds just get paid true, whatever it is, you know.
I really like the last video you did that explained all. It's called rigged, right? Or how the casino's ripping you off. Great numbers. And I always say, when it comes to the odds, most people, they say it, right? There's zero house edge. It's the best bet in the building that you have to pair with a pass line, flat money bet. You can't do the odds by itself. So once you pair it together, I don't think it's the best bet in the building anymore, but that's just me.
Yeah. If you can afford it, it's a great bet. It's a coin flip bet. I mean, but you still have to get lucky and win it. So, I'm usually on the side of, don't worry about odds if you can't afford it. But some people are very adamant, like, hey, you got to have odds. Let's see. I saw a question that I wanted to.
But it's as you're looking for that question, essentially, I don't play odds on any bets because they don't give comp value for any of those bets. And I think he might be talking about like on the don't put some odds on it to protect your money that's out on the table if you're going both ways. And then as you get a couple hits, you can remove your odds. That's a good way, but the reason why I stay away from odds is because I want all my money on the table to be rated for comp value.
Yeah, I think he clarified that in some further comments, like versus 25 on the don't, and then add 50 in odds and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, it's really just because they don't rate it out. They zero it out, and there aren't no casino rate you for odds just because they don't get any juice out of it. I have a comment here. Again, people, don't be afraid to call in. Although, man, we've already been here for an hour, Brian. I'm gonna have to shut down the show. Hopefully you don't. Mario here, love both your channels. Now. Yeah, just started playing and watching back in January, wondering how Royal rates the light and the darkness. That's a good question because they've kind of changed a little bit, Brian.
Yeah. So it really depends on. At first, we thought it depended on and when I say we, it's like the whole group, the team of.
You get a lot of feedback from a lot of people.
Yeah. And we thought it was the casino manager. Then we realized maybe it's certain ships, and then we're like, no, it's actually certain pit bosses too. And so the thing is, it really just depends on the pit boss, how you're playing, how busy the table is versus not busy. And I think, and this is kind of like first hear it here first.
Hold on, back up and let's establish a baseline. Essentially, at least how Royal Caribbean does it, if you bet, let's say $100, like you make a $100 pass line or don't pass bet, and you do that every bet, they essentially, it kind of works. I mean, they do count every roll, but it essentially works out in 1 hour, you would get 100 points.
Yes.
So if you were to put $500 out there, or let's say $200 on the don't, $200 on place numbers. That way you're kind of hedged. You're not worried about winning or losing. Now you get rated for 400 points per hour because you have $400 out there per roll. So that's kind of how the baseline of the points is. And that's why Brian talks about hedging a lot, is because, one side can't wipe you out because you're hedged, but now you have double the money that you're getting rated for too.
Yeah. You can have $200 on the table and only be risking 100, and get rated for $200. So the thing is that I was going to say here first is I think that what happens is people are specifically asking the pit boss or whoever, if I play $100 on the don't pass and $75 on the 9, because 9 is the point, if the 9 comes, I'll get paid $105 and I'll lose my 100, so I'll still win $5. And if the 7 comes, I'll get paid my 100 and I'll win $25. What will I be rated? And they're explaining, well, the pit boss has to say you won't be rated, And so the reason why I say that is because I think most of the people, I could be wrong, and you can let me know, not here on this one, but you can let me know on any one of my videos or email me or whatever. But I think a lot of people aren't being rated is because they're explaining what they're trying to do to the pit boss. And that's why I say if it's an empty table and it's only you, it's very easy for them to see that you're betting the don't pass and the point. If it's really busy and there's a lot of people everywhere, I think they're just typing in all the bets and they don't put that together, right? So I had this happen where somebody was with me and they asked, "What am I being rated?" And they go, "Well, you're being rated at 100 instead of 200 because you have the point and this." And I was like, So then I said right then, I go, "What if I don't have the point? What would you rate me?" And they literally said, "Well, then I'd rate you everything you have on the table because you're not doing a contra bet." They call them contra bets. And I said, "Okay, take down my point. Take down the point." I said, "Okay, now what are you rating me?" And they told me it was higher than the other person that had the point. And I go, "Okay, thanks." And then I go, "Hop the 9." So I just hopped it every roll, and they didn't. It's funny because they don't track hop bets. Like at least he didn't. I did it right in front of him and he didn't change it or anything. But I think it has to do with how nice you are, how you treat the dealers, how you tip the dealers, how like if you're a good player to be there or somebody that they don't really want to be there. I know that's a whole nother show, but the other part of it is, I really think it's the people that are just explaining everything they're doing and then asking, "Will you rate me?" I think right. I could be
I'm
wrong,
going to offset my bets. Look out for this. How are you going to rate me? Right. Someone said, try John's Duck and Cover 2.0. ProCrap said it's a boss level right side. Yeah. Someone submit that on my Dice Advice and I'd be happy to roll it out. I just got to have someone write it down for me. And I'd love to try it out. But yeah, so yeah, maybe not say, "Hey, I'm going to do these two offsetting. I'm going to bet red and black on the roulette table. How are you going to rate me?" Right? It's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Well, and you did your secret system that was kind of getting around it where they didn't notice it either because you did.
I used a lay bet instead of the don't. Right? But
yeah,
same
you just
concept.
Did a lay bet on the don't. And that's another, I called it, I think you ran it one time called the Batman version, going through the DC and you don't have to be on the DP. You can wait for the second roll, go through the DC. Once that gets established, then put it up and play the light and the darkness that way too. But I think it'll be very obvious when you have a lay bet or a don't and you bet it. I think because it's right there in front of them. But when it's on the DP, and the table's really busy, I think you have a better shot, especially if you don't explain it to them.
Yeah, I never hedge my lay bet, so the lay bet just stays up there for a couple rolls, and so I'm pretty sure they rate me on all my bets. I don't know why they wouldn't, right? So
yeah,
but yeah, like I said, I think I might try the light and the darkness again, just because I played it at $100 level and it didn't work out, but when I played on practice on my table, there was a huge difference in just that little change of going from 100 to 150.
Yeah.
Because
and I'll just say it like this for those that know the system. And I think I told you, we had a conversation once when I told you most people are playing for $44 inside. And if they lose that $44, they have to recoup it on the next shooter. Well, you're losing the $40 on your hop and you have to recoup it on that shooter. If you don't, it's just like you lost $40 playing 44 inside. The difference is you had more money on the table that you were getting rated for.
Essentially
And when
200 or $300, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and when you catch a roll, the difference is when you catch a roll, and I think you did say that, like if you only have minimum bets, catching a roll at $14 a pop versus $35 a pop is huge, especially when you press. And so I go from 35. So I'll just talk about the 6 and 8 because those are the most common. This is just how I do it. I go from 35 to 42, from 42 to 60, from 60 to 90, 90 to 120, 120 to 180. Okay. Once you get up to 120, you're just adding a zero. So it's like a $12 bet. Then go to 18, right? Then go to 300. But if you notice, and if you run that, you'll see that I'm collecting along the way. I'm not totally putting everything there.
And you're not
So
power pressing either, right? You're not a
Right.
power presser.
I do when I get out of the hand. I'm just saying, if I was totally doing the light and the darkness, that's how I would run it. That's how I'd run the 6 and 8. So, and
Thanks
you
for
could run
sending
them
the
together.
strategy along, Pro Craps. I'll definitely get it out soon. Another comment. Again,
cool.
if you're going to text me, I only get your number, so make sure you add your name. But he said last month one of the pit bosses on Odyssey didn't understand how I was playing Roadrunner. There is some hedging in the strategy, so I didn't explain it to him. I just smiled and said, that's how I play. We got another comment here. Thank you. Going in a cruise at the end of the month, and we'll try the light in the darkness and won't tell them.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, don't tell them up front what you're doing. Just play your game.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point you can ask them, hey, what do you got me rated at? You know, or, throwing a tip. Hey, what do you got me rated at
Well,
today?
here's a little thing that they started doing that a lot of people don't know about. I don't think I put this on my channel yet.
Uh-oh, this is exclusive content. Here.
Uh-oh. But the points rack up on the slot machine. So while you're playing, you can step away from the table for a second, put your card into a slot machine and see how many points you have in that hour or whatever while you're playing.
Yeah, it is a little delayed. I've done that from the very first cruise
Yeah.
I went on. So I would like wait an hour and then like wait for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. So if you go like an hour and 10 minutes and then check, you probably have a really good indication of what the last hour was.
Yeah, it's about
Not
5 or
quite as
10
good
minutes
as
delay.
Carnival, which tells you up to the minute on your app or something, I guess Jen says. But,
Yeah.
But again, we don't know what our goals are there.
Right.
We don't know what we're shooting for. We're just going, all right, cool. I got some points. Just giving you a hard time, Jen. All right. Yeah, lots of text today. Not many phone calls, but
Maybe it's the way you have the number spread out like that. It doesn't even look like a phone number.
it doesn't. But that's I do it phonetically.
I know that's a phone number, folks.
6, 7, 8, 7, and then the horn numbers 2, 3, 11, and 12. 6,
Well, they
7,
are
it just
texting.
rolls
They
off
are
the tongue.
texting
These are
it.
great crafts. Yeah, they got the number down. They just afraid to get on the air and hear their voices back.
Well, sometimes back to back from your show on Sunday night, every other Sunday night, or whenever you got to get on their schedule. But there is Craps Chat that Justice Jen is on as well, and Skill and Luck is there. John is there sometimes, and so
When are they? When's their
they
show?
do
air?
a Sunday night show too. But if they're all here, they're not doing it tonight, so that's good.
Well, apparently you guys are taking the night off or whatever, but check out their show on Sunday nights as well. Skill and Luck
It's usually after
asked,
yours.
okay, if they are not rating the hot bets, then why not use a lay bet, then take it down? You're not losing any money when you take it down. My answer to that would be hot bets are so cheap as compared to lay bet. Lay bets are more expensive than even using a don't pass or don't come, because you got to bet, like most people choose the 4 or 10. So you got to bet double for your, you got to bet 200 for your 100 in protection. And then, to hop it, instead of paying double 200 to protect 100, I mean, you could do it for what? Because they pay 15 to 1, right? So
Yeah.
$10 pays out 150. So you can even do like a $6 or $7 hop. So the difference is you're $6 versus $200 for $100 protection.
Yeah. And one of the things that I do is I try to make sure to have some type of iron cross going or a field bet. And my field bet is really just paying for my hop. So if any field rolls I grab the money, the $10 I have in the field, and I throw it over to hop it every roll, because at least I'm getting paid on every roll. So I make sure to get paid enough to hop on every roll, plus a little bit more. So I'm actually making money during a long roll. So, but that's a whole nother video.
You do that to protect the hot bet, because that is a good differentiator too between the two, is because a hot bet, you're guaranteed to lose it. It's a one roll bet. Whereas a lay, if you avoid the number, it does work out better, because it doesn't, you don't have to replace it. If you can get by the 2 or 3 rolls, not knock off the lay is great. But if you use a hop, you're guaranteed to lose it unless you hit it and use it for the protection that it needs. But the hop is guaranteed to lose, but you now incorporate a little bit of field action to just those two pay for themselves. Craps chat is every other Sunday night. Appreciate that, Skill and Luck. And then I guess Jen and Skill and Luck and some others are part of that show. Sorry, I don't listen to watch everything anymore. I just can't do it. But I know they have good conversations, so definitely check them out. I don't see any more questions, and we have been doing this for an hour and 20. This conversation went fast because I'm selfish about this, because I like hearing about craps and cruising.
Well, and you asked me a question, I gave you 3 answers, and questions you didn't even ask,
I don't know. Let's see. Anything else? Let's see. Rick here, solo cruiser. How do comp cruise work? Pay for the second. Oh, that is kind of a question you could answer, because I know at least Royal Caribbean has started adding all these cruise for one. But you got to pay
that
for
was
the
a
second,
change
because
that came
all
out.
rooms are double occupancy. So kind of break that down for us a little bit for Rick here.
Yeah, that change came out in December of last year, and so it basically, the points, you'll get a list of cruises to choose from, and some of the cruises are cruises for 1 and some are cruises for 2. But when the points say cruise for 1 and a discount on your second guest, once you look at the actual offer, you'll see there are cruises for 2 on there. If you are a solo cruiser with Royal Caribbean, you still want to earn a cruise for 2, because if you are a solo cruiser and earn a cruise for 1, they're going to make you pay the difference for that second guest, just like a solo cruiser would. So try to earn a cruise for 2, and then you'll only have to pay taxes and port fees for 1. I hope that makes sense.
Yes. Caller, you're on the air. The Color Up podcast was on the air. I think I hung up on someone because my like Bluetooth goes wonky after 1 hour, and then someone tried to call right back, and then I answered and they weren't there. But so call me right back. The phone should work now. David said, because the pit is moving, do you recommend starting high bets and regressing, or low bets and building? I always prefer starting small bets, but not sure Pit Boss would rate the increases. Correct or right?
Yeah, David, that's a good question. So there's 2 things that I do. One, every time they rotate, I ask them what they have me rated in at. So I get the new Pit Boss to look at my bets and at least change it up or down. I don't care if they change it, if they go down with it. Like if the one that left had me rated really high, and then the one that came and I say, hey, what you have me rated at? And they say 110 and don't change it, I'm fine. If they say 110, but it looks like you have 66, I'm gonna put 66. I don't mind, because right when I press, then I say, okay, I went back up. I go back up. The other thing I do is, if there is a Pit Boss that's, gets called away for a second and come back, called, and they're kind of, they're there, but they're not really there. That's when I will regress and wait until they come back. And when they do come back, I will say, what do you have me rated at? And if they say 220 or whatever, and I have 66 there, I just watch and see if they type it in. And if they type it in, then I press and go back.
That's expert level stuff. That yeah. We have a caller on the air. Who's with us?
Hey, it's Joe. I just wanted to tell Brian that thanks to him taking me and my wife on our first cruise, I now have 6 of them down, and another one already scheduled.
Joe
nice.
and Barbara.
Yeah, Joe and Barbara.
Well,
Yeah,
congratulations. That sounds nice.
Yeah,
Where you-
I learned some things
Yeah,
from
it's-
Joe
it's great.
too.
Where are you located, Joe? I mean, where do you have to travel? Because most cruises are out of like Florida. I know they do Galveston, other places, but where are you located? Where's home base, and where do you travel the most for all these free cruises?
I am only an hour and a half from Baltimore, so most of our cruises have been on Vision of the Seas.
Yeah, I want to take that one to
And
to
it breaks-
Bermuda. I haven't done that one yet.
And it breaks my heart that in next fall they're going to move Vision of the Seas down to Miami or Fort Lauderdale. Hopefully they're going to find another ship to bring up here because I really like the convenience of sailing out of Baltimore. And I know everybody aboard the Vision.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm sure
And-
that if it's a good market, I'm sure they're going to replace it just with a different ship, right?
Yeah, they're moving the ships around.
Oh. Hopefully.
But I still have it on my list to
The one
get out of
problem we have is-
Baltimore. Joe, I still have it on my list. I'm looking for one to get out of Baltimore and to go with you.
Yeah, well, there's an invitation open for you and Amber to come and stay. So
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad he's helped you with
Whatever.
at least minimum 6 more cruises. So congratulations, Joe. Thanks for the call. Skill and Luck said, so it's the pit boss, not the floor supervisor that does the rating. So it's kind of different all the time. It's usually the box man, but they rotate out a lot. I've been at tables where it's light and the dealers actually do the punching in the numbers. So you can kind of see like when you change your bets, if they like go in and punch it in and change it, right?
Yeah, and maybe I don't know if I'm being kind of I don't know if this would be rude of me or maybe just I don't know, but sometimes I will tell the dealer or the pit boss person, I'll say, "Hey, I'm betting $200 a person, so put me in for 200." And when I have moving bets, that's what I do. If I play any bet strategy like all day strategy where I do a don't pass and 2 come bets or something like that, I tell them, hey, I'm using $100 per shooter, so put me in for $100, and I'm gonna be using these 4 units, or whatever. And sometimes they do. I mean, if you're nice to them, and I always bring them stuff. I have free drinks, not just in the casino, but I have free drinks in other parts of the cruises. So there's drinks that the casino doesn't have and they're like Powerades or Red Bulls that the crew don't get. I just bring them my free drinks. I bring them Red Bulls. I bet for them. I tip them. I throw bets in and say, just drop it, and I'll do a 2-way, like put $5 on the point and drop 5, or something like that. And I learned that, talking with John from Pro Craps and stuff like that, like just getting the betting for the dealers and stuff. Then you can, I think, kind of like I said, I don't want to be demanding, but I'm like, hey, put me in for, I'm trying to be honest too. I want them to rate me for what I have.
Right, because a lot of times what they'll do is soon as, like, if you're there at the buying at the table, everyone buys in, they got an idea of you're buying it, and then they go for your bet. If you're playing like an all day and you go $25 don't pass, they'll look and they'll go, all right, he's a $25 player. The other guy goes 66 across. Okay, that guy's a 66 player. Or maybe they'll wait till the second bet, right? So now you have $25 don't, and then you do a $25 come. Maybe they'll put you in for 50, not realizing, oh, he's going to continuously play this, for 100. So, you could mention it or whatever, and then make sure they're doing 100, because it is a little tricky, because they got to figure it out, right? With moving bets as opposed to place bets, it's real easy. They go, oh yeah, I see all the money on the table. But if if you have some sort of strategy that's like continuous come bets or 3 come bets or whatever it is, they don't necessarily see it. So sometimes you kind of ask or whatever, but yeah, what's the saying, like catch bees with honey or something? I don't know. Tipping goes a long way. Being a friendly person, just talking to them and having a good time with them, it goes a long way. They can, they're not going to like cheat the system for you, but they're going to probably be more likely to treat you fairly, or not like stiff you and go, that guy's a jerk, I'm going to rate him at $10 an hour or whatever.
Yeah. Especially if you're pressing and regressing and then moving bets around and all that, you're working the dealers. So like, for example, if you had a $12,
not that it's just working the dealer. It's just how do they figure out if you're up and down and up and down? Like, how do they figure out the average? You got to have some communication with them a little bit.
Right. And that's what I do. A good, speaking of tipping, I know this is not the topic today, but like if I was going to press my 6 and 8 from 12 to 24, I'm going to get $2. I can either put that $2 in my rack, or I could put the dealers up on the 6 and 8 for $2, and then when I regress back down or whatever, it's like, at least the dealer's got a piece of my action. And that $2 wouldn't have made a lot of big difference when I'm getting paid 28 on the next time, but then I have $3. What do I do with that $3? Do I put it in my rack? Do I throw it over on the hardways? You can't do that anymore on a Royal Caribbean sip. You can't throw it in the field anymore. So I think, throwing them these little pennies might not seem like a big deal, or maybe it does seem like a big deal, but it shouldn't, because it is a big deal for them. It is a big deal for them to have
this
them.
This is a question I'm not going to let you answer. He said, Brian, how are you getting the airfare reduced? You mentioned Southwest Point on one of your videos. Please advise. I'm going to say to join his membership for like $2 or $3 or whatever a month. He covers all kinds of stuff, because it is a big part of it. You got to there's travel, and these free cruises. Not only do you have to pay taxes and port fees, but there's travel costs and other things. So he has lots of other tips and behind the scenes stuff that might be very valuable to you. So I'm not going to let him answer that one, Brian.
Well, and I think one of the most valuable things is the itineraries. You get our cruise dates, so you'll know where I'll be, and we'll be cruising and playing. I always say, I
get free coaching
and rolling on a craps table soon. And we can be, if you're a member, you could just get on one of the cruises that I'll be on. And like Mike, I just got off. Mike, one of my members, was on the cruise, and we were side by side. I was doing it. He was doing the same thing. And then he did it. And then he missed some things. And I told him, don't forget to hop, And so, so it's kind of coaching along with it. It's not the full coaching package that I do offer, but I'm not selling that here today. And I really haven't sold it on my channel yet either. but there are ways that you could come on a cruise with me where kind of you get the cruising experience, and you get all the training and teaching as we go. And I'm not like trying to charge for that. It's just something that I love to do.
Tim from New York said, I find that when I tip the dealers by playing $1 across on each number, they always say thank you and give me more points. I find that most people don't tip them. I also throw money on the horn bet and include them. Sometimes I'll bet the numbers, but they seem to like the hard ways a lot, because they pay 7 and 9 to 1. So a lot of times I'll bet the hard ways for the dealers. They seem to really like the hard way bets and root for those. But a lot of times I'll find I'm the only guy tipping at the table. And when you're the only guy tipping at the table, they seem to appreciate you. I have a question up here from Tim. Did I hear it right that Carnival no longer had hop bets? I've been practicing Light in the Darkness with $75 don't, so that when I cruise in March, I can go for comps. No hops would be bad. I don't know if they previously had them, but we've got a report that they don't currently have them. So I don't know if that's ship varies. Me and Brian haven't been on Carnival, so if anyone else wants to help answer his question, you can.
Well, we'll be on Carnival when Jen takes us, right? We'll be there.
Yeah, she's got all these free offers and stuff. She should be. We love you, Jen.
There's Mike. There's Mike saying much appreciated, Brian. Mike put a comment in there. He went on his first time playing Light in the Darkness, his first cruise. It was an 11-night cruise, so we had a little bit more nights than usual. But he got 6,500 points. I forget, the last time I checked, he was down about $200, maybe $5. But I mean, 6,500 points is like a junior suite with $750 worth of free play. So there's Ryan from Mark the Point. He's trying to get us to go on Carnival
no hop bets,
too.
just horn bets.
Yeah. So between Mark the Point and Justice Jen, I think you and I could probably get on a Carnival.
Well, we should be able to. We should get at some sort of tier match or something like that. Certainly, you at your level should be able to get, if you contact Carnival, Say, hey, let me have a trial cruise. We want the better
eventually I'll get
food
there. My goal was
to do
to
every
get on
ship, right?
all the Royal Caribbean ships before I moved on. But they move them around so much, and then some are never come back from overseas, like the Spectrum or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna go to Celebrity next, and then after Celebrity, I could be talked into a Carnival or Princess.
A better food question mark. I don't know. That's just what I'm told. I don't have first-hand experience, but some people say there's better food on Carnival. They said significantly better too. But I don't know. We got another call here. Let's see what this is. This might be our last call because we got to shut this thing down eventually. Unless you got an all free night. I actually got work to do. Welcome to the show. Who do we have with us?
So there's lots of discussion about hops on Carnival, and it has to do with which mat they have on the table. And they've been changing them, but if you come to a table that doesn't have hops, you can say, hey, I want to be playing hops. They will pull out a little mat with just hops on it, and you can play hops. And that's across all the Carnival properties like Princess and Holland and everybody.
That is great information. I'm going to hang up you because my phone's clicking. I have to reset my phone, but thank you for the call. That is excellent information. I know at land-based casinos, a lot of times they will take the hops, but he's saying that all Carnival, they'll ask you and they'll pull out, I don't have it with me, the color up, not the color up one, but they pull out a little extra hop mat.
Well,
yeah, Carnival bought the color up mat. Yeah, for hops. Yeah, so now we've got conflicting information. But it makes sense because Jen, she ain't hopping any bets, so she's seen that there's no hop bets on the layout. But we just got a call that says you can request, and they'll pull out underneath the table a color up hop mat, which I do have very limited. I got like maybe 10 left in my store. If you want one, you hop in my store and grab them. I got a couple left.
Well, I can if I can get on a Carnival with Ryan from Mark the Point, then him and I will go and I'll do a video and
verify this information. This is very crucial, but it is at least worth asking if you're going on a Carnival. Ask if they have hops and see if they pull out this secret mat from underneath the table. That would be fantastic. Mark, have you ever asked them? I know you've never seen that on Carnival. Have you ever asked them? Because probably very few people are playing hops. It's a very bad bet unless you're using it for a very specific short-term reason. All of us should start requesting ATS bets to do. Yeah, wouldn't that be great if they start bringing out the ATS bet as well?
I'm gonna just bring my own mat and say,
yeah,
put this up there. Here we go.
Let's just bring our mat and then just sit on the table and be like, what? Why can't we play this? Like,
I get a lot of questions about, because I do videos where when the casino's closed, I bring the dice and I roll the dice and all that kind of stuff. I get a lot of questions about that. Like, do they let you do that? And I've even seen people doing it while the casino is open. Just the craps table's not open. Like, they're like, oh, we're opening the craps table at 7 tonight. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to roll some dice. People just roll dice in there. Other people think the table is open when it's not, you know? But
they seem to be very lenient on that, which is cool.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting. But now I could just bring my own mat and leave it there, and maybe it'll work for the night. Maybe they won't remove it.
Yeah, you mean go early before the dealers arrive?
Yeah, just
put your hot mat on there. Yeah. Mark said, yeah, I wanted to try the quarter pound with easy, but they said no hot bets. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, and like I said, I've been on Royal Caribbean where they didn't have hot bets, and Brian said they do have hot bets on all those ships. So they're obviously ships vary. He said they must have an old layout.
Well, okay, so this is what happened when I was on a Royal Caribbean ship. They didn't have the hot bets printed. The first night they didn't have hot bets. I was upset about it, but I just bought in for like $500. Another guy bought in for like 8,000 or 5,000, whatever, and he's playing black chips. And he wants hot bets. From that point on, we had hot bets on that cruise. I'm just telling you. So I started hopping along with him. He's hopping for $5 and $25. I'm hopping for $1.
They just picked a spot on the table, right? They didn't pull out. Some
Yeah, they
secret
just
mat.
put it up there, and they just knew they just would repeat it and
That's
make
good
sure it
customer
was the right-
service.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
because
found
he
at
said he
land-based
wasn't playing
casinos they
without it.
typically do that too. If someone wants to play hot bet, they don't have it, they'll still take your money because, like I said, it's a bad bet officially.
Yeah, but he's using it like I use it to hedge and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right, I don't see any more questions. Is there anything else you want to add to this meandering, weird?
Yeah, where's
some
Jim?
strategy,
We
some
gotta get Jim back
cruising.
here for some structure.
Yeah, we had no structure. We had no outline. We were just shooting from the hip tonight. Hopefully we took and answered as many questions you can. Someone just texted in. They didn't give me their name, but said, thank you boys for a great show. Appreciate you listening, everyone. Anything else that you would like to add to our mishmash of a conversation?
Yeah, I would just say, I said earlier, thank you for being one of the first, I know there was a lot of other people, but you've been doing this for a long time. You're still here doing this, whether it's here on this channel or your main channel.
I gotta notice a thing. YouTube sent me, said, congratulations on 8 years on YouTube. So
yeah, come
been
on.
doing it for a minute.
There's people that were around that aren't around anymore that are not doing it. There's others that have been inspired like me and others that have been inspired by you. And now we have channels. And so thank you for everything that you're doing. I think the Color Up Club is something. There's lots of different groups and different
All right,
things.
I'm going to mute you here. I don't need to shout out for the.
No, come on. The Color Up Club is where it's at, man. We got DiceCon coming up. So let's get over there, get the DiceCon dates, join Color Up Club, and then we could be at DiceCon together, rolling and not cruising, but we'll be rolling together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a couple mentions like, hey, when's the cruise? And I have the same thing. Same like Brian has his membership and he releases the cruise dates. If you're a club member, Green Club member of mine, I release the dates and you can join me at any time. And there have been members, and there are going to be I know a couple members joining when I'm with Brian this year. So hey, if you want to roll with both of us, the dates are available. So we're not trying to be that like a jerk, but like I can't say to YouTube where, this video will get 10,000 views, Brian. And if 1%, what is that? 100 people show up to a cruise date that we show up loud, like we're not going to get to play. Some ships have 2 tables. Most of them have 1. We can't have 100 people showing up. So that's why we don't publicly announce it. We're not like, oh, you got to pay us for the dates. It's literally just logistics of we can't have 20 people show up, right? So if you're really interested, but we just can't throw out the date.
Yeah, and some of the stuff that I say, like we were talking earlier about if the pit boss walks away, I reduce my bets. And like I know this is public, but those are the kind of things that I don't say publicly on my channel. Like I have a lot of secrets on the membership side, and I do a lot more lives on the membership side as well.
I guess we'll finish with this one last question. Are both of you going to Craft for the Cure this year?
I have it on my calendar.
I don't have it on mine because I don't know when it is. I mean, I haven't talked to John about it. I think I always do my best to be a participate. So I think it's around Veterans
I think it's
Day?
September 12th.
Okay.
That weekend, September 12th, something 13th.
Hopefully John of ProCrafts will hook me up with the date or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not invited back this year. Could be it too.
So
weekend of September 12th.
I think it might be the 14th.
Craftsmaster Journey. Thank you. Weekend of September 12th.
Yeah, the weekend of September 12th.
I did break the news last podcast that I am moving to Vegas this summer. So there's no reason I don't have many good excuses to skip if it's in Vegas. I'm assuming it's in Vegas. So.
Quarterly DiceCon.
No, but before I do any quarterly DiceCon, I need to do, I need to go to Biloxi and
you haven't been to Biloxi yet. Me neither.
Charlotte. And yeah, I sent out my newsletter. I said, hey, someone hook me up, give me some information, give me some, like, if you have some contacts, I'd love to do a Biloxi this summer, and just no one has responded. So I need a little help if you want me to go out to these places, these foreign places. but I'd love to go to Biloxi.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having
your
me.
Your beard is covering up.
Can't wait
You
for
got a
Jim
different
to be
shirt
back.
on. It doesn't say Holy Roller. It says.
Oh, it says Horn High Yo with the
with the
brackets
okay.
around the
Your
R.
trademark R. Horn High.
Because every time that's my bet. When a horn rolls, I'm running with the bulls. I'm betting the same amount on the horn as I do in the field.
Why don't you do the Horn High Ace
expensive.
Deuce?
What's that?
Why don't you do the Horn High Ace Deuce?
I do want to come out. If I ever roll and I'm on the pass line, I do a Horn High Ace Deuce. Yeah.
Yeah, I never know why people bet the yo on the if they're on the pass line as opposed to they should be betting the
or a
Horn High
$5
Ace Deuce,
C&E doesn't make sense either. Just so
Yeah.
everybody knows, this is a whole nother video. $5 Horn High Ace Deuce is the correct answer. C&E is never correct answer.
That's
If
the
you're-
weekend, my birthday. Oh,
Unless you
that's
have
his birthday
$3, you do C&E. But you might as well just do a three-way craps if you have $3.
Yeah, do three-way craps with $3, which you got $5. Do the Horn High Ace Deuce.
Yes, that's it.
Yes. he knows some of his math. Birthday spanking's coming up. All right, let's end this show. 1:45, we're done. All right, thank you everyone for listening, and check out Brian's show at the Holy Roller. We got a lot of other YouTubers in here, so awesome community. Check out all their channels. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, everyone have a good night. We'll see you next week, maybe.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.